here?
No. Yes, I'm here.
Thinking about yourself again. Wonderful. Dr. Viteri is about to start.
Let's go.
He gets very ornery when people walk in. Maybe I got to check my behavior a little bit. I'm not sure.
No, to be yourself.
Good?
Yeah. We all ourselves.
Listen, I can be me, but you got to behave yourself. Okay, now we're on this page here.
Oh, okay.
And nobody has any idea what this page is, but that's where we are.
Some kind of flow chart.
This is what we're going to learn this session and going into lunch. Let me give you a little bit of a scenario of what's going to happen. I'm going to teach you, okay? I'm going to teach you about the process of getting well. I just need, Jen, could you get me the Barley Life, the Omega, the Prepzymes, and the Fiberglass? Okay. I'm going to teach you about the process of getting well. And this is going to be a brief course in anatomy and physiology and how this body that you, thank you, Elder, and on how your body works. Now, if you could respect how your body works and you work with the principles of how your body works, you'll get well. Now, everything I'm going to tell you about how this body works is going to be the truth. Because if there's somebody in here who knows about maybe anatomy, physiology, maybe somebody here is another doctor or a nurse, or I'm not sure, okay? If I do say something that you don't think is right, jump up and say that's not right. I'll entertain that, okay? But the truth of the matter is that I want to be able to paint a picture of, I want to be able to paint a picture that's going to give you a clear, concise understanding. Because if you can appreciate how your body works, then the principles of getting well, they're easier to own. Okay? Like, you know, for example, say you have a computer, and so I know, like, my kids do this to me, and I do this to them sometimes. Like, they'll ask me something, or I'll ask them something, and they'll say, give me the computer, and they'll do it. And it's like, wait a minute, I got to ask them every single time how to do this. Just show me how to do it. You know, Daddy has a brain, and he can figure it out also. Come on now. And the same thing is with everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, we can learn how to do something, but you got to be able to you have to understand it first, and then it becomes natural. So the first thing we need to understand is how this body works. Okay? And the way the body works, we have to start off with the most important part of your body, which is what? Your brain. Okay? Sometimes people say your heart. Well, you don't need your heart. Okay? You can get a heart transplant. It's somebody else's heart. You can get a kidney transplant. You can get a lung transplant, liver transplant. You can get a lot of things that are not yours put in you, and you can still be you, but you can't get a brain transplant. Though it may be, in some people, a good idea. Okay? But we need to start off with understanding, okay, that the brain is the master control system of your entire body. Your brain works in conjunction with your spinal cord to send nerves from itself down your spinal cord, out from the spinal cord, and I'm going to put this picture here, this model of the spine here, okay? And as the nerves come out, some of those nerves will go to muscles, some will go to organs, and some will go to glands. So the premise is that your brain is controlling and coordinating every muscle, organ, and gland in your body. Every single part of your body is working because your brain is telling it to do something. And every part of your body is communicating back to your brain, to tell the brain information it's perceiving from the outside world. Okay? So information's going in, information's going out. And the information that goes out is in response to the information going in. So there's this continuous communication between the world and you through your neurological system. Okay? Now, if the communication from the brain to all the muscles, organs, and glands, if that communication is functioning at 100%, this will give your body the best opportunity of being healthy. Okay? If all the light bulbs and all the wiring is working, when we hit the switch, all the lights are going to go on. If for some reason there's like somebody stuck a paper clip in the switch, we're going to have sparks and fluttering lights because we're interfering with the communication of the system that's controlling the lights. So, if the communication from the brain to the body is functioning right, this is your best opportunity of being healthy. Okay? It's a primitive aspect that God instilled in your body.
Exactly.
See, when you were born, but before you were born, you were conceived. You were the genetic material of a father and the genetic material of your mother. It came together and formed one cell, which now became you. But you, when you were one cell, were completely unidentifiable. And the cells started multiplying. And they still, for at least the first week or so, were completely unidentifiable. They were stem cells. They all looked the same, and they all had the ability to change into something that's going to be different in the end result. Correct?
Yes.
Now, at a certain point in time, which is a phenomenon that God instilled because it happens, some of those cells start to change their shape, and the first identifiable structure that you have in the beginning of an embryo is your spinal cord. Okay? It is the first identifiable structure, followed closely by the brain, or what's going to end up being the brain. Then the spinal cord and brain start sending the axon fibers into the stem cells, and the stem cells start changing into what they're supposed to end up being, which is a liver cell, a pancreas cell, a biceps cell, a calf muscle cell, your eyeball, your earlobe. It all starts changing until you got you. But you have to understand, and this is the wisdom of God, this blows me away, that God created this mechanism of events to occur to completely embed the communication of you in this thing called your neurological system. That it is intimately tied up to everything that's going to be you. It's completely mind-blowing of how it works. But we don't even take it for, we don't even realize it. We just take it for granted, like we turn the bathroom light on. Just because it's there. Now, let's move on to understanding, this is physiology, a little anatomy. Okay? The brain is protected by a hard bone called the skull. Now, for those of you who are anatomy buffs, we know that your skull is not one big hard bone. Well, some of you folks, it could be one big, hard, rock-like bone. But actually, it's a number of bones that come together. Okay? And the reason why God designed that is because you could not get out of your mother's womb if it was not the case. Okay? How many times you see when you have your kids, they're born, their head is like pointy. You think it's because they're just sharp. But what it is that it's pointy because the cranial bones and the sutures between them allow the head to come through. And then after a couple days, that cone head sort of goes away. And you realize your kid is not as sharp as you thought they would be. Okay? Now, but the skull forms into one hard bone because the brain is the most precious, important body part that you have. Your spinal cord is protected by a series of bones called vertebrae. Okay? And what the vertebrae do is they keep you erect, one. Two, because there's 24 of them, they allow you to be flexible. If not, it would be very difficult for me to pick up that pen if I wasn't able to be flexible and bend. Okay? You couldn't turn your head right or left. As a matter of fact, if somebody patted you on the back too hard, you can snap it. But it's flexible. It allows a shock absorbing factor because it has hard pieces of cartilage in between each bone called discs. And they're designed to protect and cushion, okay, the function of the spine. But if you look at it close enough, and I'll pass this around, during when we have our break, you can look at it, okay? You see these yellow guys coming out? These are nerves. And as long as the bones are lined up correctly, these nerves will come out without interference. But soon as this spine loses its balance, it's going to cause pressure on that nerve, and now the communication is going to be interrupted. Now, in what percentage of humanity does this occur? Okay? Everybody, 100%. Okay? You see, what happens is this spine that is designed to be straight is affected by continuous physical stress, primarily because of gravity. You follow me? But watch this. How many people over here were born?
Born.
Raise your hand now. Maybe like a robot or something. Okay. When the process of being born, as you're extracted from the mother's womb, there's about 60 to 90 pounds of pressure in the process to move the shoulders through the womb. That's a whole lot more pressure than you would ever want to put on a baby's neck, but it needs to come out. So there's a very good chance that almost inevitably in the birth process, those vertebrae could start off being misaligned, which is also called being subluxated. Okay? Now, we have a newborn baby, and I'm going to give you the baby. What are you going to make sure you hold? The head. Why? Because the head weighs as much as the whole body put together. So you need to support the head because the neck there's no musculature there. And it's a very good chance that you could sort of cause some further damage to it. But your spine, see this spine? This one's a little mangled, but your spine naturally has three curves. You have a curve like this in your neck, you have a curve like this in your middle back, and then you have a curve like this in your lower spine, okay? Now those curves are there for a reason, and they don't happen accidentally. See, when the baby's born, there's no curve. It's just like, as a matter of fact, it's curved just like a hook this way, because they're in the womb like that. But the first thing a baby starts to do is what? Lift their head. And when they lift their head, they start developing the curve in their neck. And then as they start to crawl and stand up, they start developing the curve in their lower back. Now, once they start doing that, how many people have had kids that walked at less than a year?
Yeah.
Okay? Well, my daughter walked at 8 months. One of my daughters, I think she learned how to walk last week. Okay? The point is that when they're real young and they're learning how to walk, they're really unstable. Boom, boom. I remember watching that Pamper commercial, and they say, well, maybe it was Huggies, one of them. They said that, boy, our diaper could withstand, and they just showed like 100 snapshots of kids falling on their rear ends, and they're promoting their diaper, and I'm saying, look at the continuous trauma that this baby's undergoing for about 6 or 7 or 8 months period of time. Setting up the stage of misalignment from a very young age. And then we learn to ride our bicycle, and then we fall off our bicycle, and we play sports, and we do this, and we do that, and we talk on the phone, and we sleep on the couch, and we have terrible posture that I'm observing, okay? We have a car accident, we lift up something heavy, we have an occupation where we're bending and lifting and carrying. So what happens is, inevitably, every single human being, because of gravity and the subjection of what we do on this planet, starts developing a pattern of subluxation in your spine. Everybody, not some people. Because some people go, well, I don't necessarily need to go to a chiropractor because my back doesn't hurt.